I think it is a bit of sort of bittersweet moment, Ros, really. It's been a big part of my life. 18 years in Parliament, um, on the London Assembly before that. It's 50 years since I was first elected as a local councillor. So politics and the law have been the two things that have dominated my life. I'm still going to be doing things, but of course, it was my decision to go. I think it's the right time. Whilst I can still do other things and meet new challenges. But of course, yes, saying goodbye to a lot of old friends, not just your political colleagues, but also the staff in Parliament. You have some wonderful people who support us in Parliament.
So, Bob, things aren't looking terribly good for the Conservative Party, according to the polls. I know the only poll that matters is the one on the night. But would you say that there is realistically a feeling now that you're not going to win this election and it's all about freshening up the party for the opposition?
Nothing is over until the electorate has decided. I actually think the Prime Minister has done a lot to try and turn around a very unfortunate legacy that he inherited. Things do change, and I think at the end of the day, it's going to come back to some pretty firm questions for people. Who is going to be best at turning around the economy? Who is going to actually look after their families? That's in terms of the cost of living, which is important. Where, in fact, we have seen, I think, the current government starting now to have a plan to help us to recover from the pandemic. But who is going to be best at keeping Britain safe in an increasingly dangerous world? I think that's an increasing problem for people. And who, at the end of the day, is going to be a reliable partner to our friends in the rest of the British family and our allies overseas. And I think there's still a lot to be said for the Conservative Party to make that case.
So, Bob, that brings me to my next question, because obviously you've been a stalwart over there in Westminster supporting Gibraltar for so many years, and you're chair of the APPG, which is obviously now dissolved as well. Who's going to fill those big shoes?
And it would depend literally upon who is returned to the next Parliament. But I'm confident of two things, Ross. Firstly, that there will be people who will come forward and will want to bang the drum for Gibraltar. And from outside Parliament, I will always be there, I promise you, to bang the drum for Gibraltar. I'm not leaving public life entirely. I'm sure there's other ways I can make my voice heard. And the second thing I'm confident is that we've got such a strong bipartisan position now on Gibraltar. There's generally not a piece of cigarette paper between the Conservative Party and the Labour Party, and indeed the other smaller parties on Gibraltar, and getting a deal for Gibraltar that respects Gibraltar's British sovereignty. I'm confident that that will not change, whoever is in government, and that you will have firm support from any British government going forward, and hopefully getting a resolution that enables Gibraltar to prosper in the way it deserves.
So, Bob, you said you'll still be available outside of Parliament. Just tell us what your plans are going forward now.
Well, I think I said in my final speech in the Commons, Ros, I was a lawyer before I became a politician, and I'll be a lawyer afterwards. So I'm talking to some of my old chambers and some other friends in the legal world, and there's always a crossover between the law and politics. So I'm exploring options there, and maybe take up some of the causes I'm interested in. Gibraltar's one of them. I've always had a big personal interest in stroke care, for example, and some of the arts, performing arts and other things. So I'm going to find time to try and pursue those as well.